Alright guys, so let's focus on section 2.1, marginal decision making. So on this one, we're not going to just be focusing on opportunity cost, and we're not even going to be focusing on the budget constraint. So when you're not trying to make a choice on your budget constraint, what you are going to be doing is marginal analysis. What is marginal analysis? It is examining the benefits and cost of choosing a little more or a little less of a good. Basically, why do you buy an extra soda when you go to Whataburger, right? Like, what is the extra benefit that you're getting out of it? So that's what marginal analysis is what is that extra thing that you get by doing something? Or what is that extra cost of doing something? So how we're going to measure this is with utility. We can use money, but let's go with utility for a bit. Now, what is utility? Utility basically is how much we measure happiness. That's what we're trying to do. So anytime you see the word utility, it is your level of satisfaction. And the way I like to think about it is smiley faces. So when I see the word utility, what I'm really thinking is how many smiley faces am I getting? So basically, is it 5 smiley faces, right? Or is it 100 smiley faces, right? That's how much utility I have. Maybe 150 utility, right? So it sounds kind of weird, but that's what it is. It's smiley faces. So that's what we're trying to do when we're doing marginal analysis, is we're looking at our level of satisfaction. Now, we do consume things, we do everything we should be doing is because we are gaining some utility from it. But if you really, really like ice cream, like it's your favorite thing, do you only eat ice cream? Probably not. Now, why not? Is it because at some point you start to feel sick, right? Because like you ate too much? Yes, right? And that is the law of diminishing marginal utility, which basically is saying as a person receives more of a good, the additional or marginal utility from each additional unit of that good declines. So let's take a little deeper dive into this. Let's look at what happens as you drink more water. So let's do this. If you were out in the desert and you were gonna die, but somebody comes along and tries to save you by giving you some water, how much like utility do you think you would get out of that first water bottle? Right? Now, whatever number you just came up with in your head, right? That's whatever it is. Right? Mine would be 1,000,000. It could be 10 for you, right? And 10 could be a really big number for you. But for me, 1,000,000 is the utility I would get. Because the thing about utility is that it's all subjective. Meaning, if I said something makes me 150 utility, and you said something makes you 150 utility, we're not saying the same thing, right? Because my happiness is completely different from your happiness. So if I said 150 utility, that could be 20 utility for you. Like that's how we could be the same. So when you're trying to compare person to person, you can't really do that. What you can do is the same person. So that's why we like to look at the marginal, because the marginal is where we can really see if it's an increase or a decrease. And I'll show you here in a second. So if we were looking on a graph here, and this is my utility, or utils, which they sometimes say, and this is the number of water bottles. And that first one, right, that I have, I said it was 1,000,000. So 1M. Now, what about that second one, right? So, am I happier? If I bought a second water bottle, do I have some more utility? Yes, right? Because like I mean, one water bottle is not gonna like save me, right? It does increase my happiness a lot, but I need two, maybe even three, right? Because I still want to be happier. So I buy the second one, and then I go ahead and buy the third one. Now, at this point here, okay, I've had 3 water bottles, and I don't know about you, but if you've had 3 water bottles in a row, that's where it's kind of like, you know what, I'm kind of good. But the guy's like, you know what, fine, I'll just give it to you for free. But now I drink too much water, and now I start to feel sick, right? Am I happier? No. I'm not happier because now I'm starting to feel sick. So what happens to my utility? Does it go up or down? It has to go down. So what's happening here? This was the first situation. Here's the second water bottle. Here's the third one. And then here's the fourth one. As you can see here, for every water bottle that I'm doing, what's happening to utility? It is increasing, increasing, decreasing. That difference there, that extra step that we're making, that is the marginal. So this little bit right here, that's the marginal. This little benefit right here is the marginal. This right here, this drop off here is the marginal. Now, so this is your marginal benefit. It's increasing, right? Because I am benefiting from this water bottle. So even this right here is my marginal benefit because I went from 0 to 1,000,000. So that's my marginal benefit of that one water bottle. I then do another one, and this is my extra benefit. The thing with the marginal, it's the extra benefit, the additional. So that's what's happening with utility, and then all of a sudden it starts to go down, and now we have a negative marginal benefit. So based off of this, like how many water bottles should I consume? 3. 3 would be like my happiest I can be. So that's how utility works, and that's the law of diminishing marginal utility. The law of diminishing marginal utility starts as soon as the second one or the third one, as long as the next one gives me less marginal benefit than the previous one. That's where the diminishing starts. So for this question here, right, my first water bottle gave me 1,000,000, and the second one did not give me 1,000,000. So that little step right there is not 1,000,000, and because it's not 1,000,000, that is where I'm having diminishing marginal utility. So for this example, it happened after first water bottle. Right? Now, if we were eating pizza, let's do another example where we have quantity and we have utility 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I'm not eating pizza, I'm not happy, 0. So then I'll go 10, 25, and then I'll go 30, and then 31. Now, what is the marginal utility of the first slice of pizza? Look at where you started, which was 0. Look at where you are now, which is 1. 0. And now 10 with utility. What is the margin? 10, right? Because I go from 0 to 10. So the marginal utility of the first one is 10. Now, what is the marginal utility of the second one? Because I'm consuming the second thing, right? I'm having 10, I buy it, right? I'm good to go, but then I buy another one. So now I'm at 25. So I was at 10, now I'm at 25. What's the marginal? What's that extra? The extra is going to be 15. If you're wondering how we got 15, 25 minus 10. Right? Look at where you are, 25 and look at where you were, 10, 15. Okay, that's how we find marginal. What's the marginal for the next one? 5. If you're wondering how we did that, 30 minus 25 equals 5. And the final one would be 1. So the question now becomes, where does diminishing marginal utility start? So we go from 0 to 10, so that was an increase, and then we go 10 to 15, which was another increase, and then we go 15 to 5, right? So because we dropped off there, right, that is where the diminishing marginal utility starts. So we're going 10, 15, 5. As soon as we go down, that's where it starts. So for pizza, after second slice. Okay, and that's how diminishing marginal utility works. On a graph, if you're wondering how this works, it would look something like this. So we would have the utility be increasing. So let's use the pizza example. It would be 10, 25, 30, and 31. So it would go 10, 25, 30, and then 31. So notice here how we're going up, up, going up, down, up. You see how we're going up, up, and then all of a sudden we start to go at an angle, like it starts to, go down a little bit. That's the diminishing marginal utility. If we were to graph the marginal utility, it would look something like this. It would go 10, 15, 5, 1. So again, right, that's where it starts. It starts after the second one. And we will be practicing this later on, so don't worry about understanding it now. But the main thing I really want you to understand is just what utility is, and then what marginal analysis is trying to do. Okay, we're looking at the marginal decision. Right, so basically you only earn a benefit by so much, right? You need to figure out, do we buy it or not? And then the law of diminishing says that as you do more of it, at some point the marginal will be decreasing. So that leads us into the next topic, which is going to be sunk cost. Now to think what sunk cost is this. Sunk costs are costs that incurred in the past and cannot be recovered. What does that look like? One example would be going to the movies. So if you go to the movies, right, and you pay the $15 to go to the movies and it sucks, like you just don't want to be there anymore, and you're trying to figure out, do I stay, do I go? Most people, and even me, right, would be like, you know what, fine, I paid the money, I'm going to sit here and watch the movie. Why am I doing this? Because I feel like I already paid for it, I might as well, watch it. But I really shouldn't be thinking that way, because am I going to get my money back? No. Am I going to get my time back? No. So sunk costs are one of the hardest concepts to accept, right? You have to forget about the sunk cost and only look forward. So if I'm sitting there in the movies and I'm like, this sucks, I really need to go, but I don't want to waste my money, I don't want to leave, I cannot think that way. I need to think about, what else could I be doing with my time? Could I have a much better time going with my friends somewhere? Could I go to work somewhere and earn money back? Right? Look at how I'm looking forward to other things I could be doing instead of like suffering here. Because I'm not going to get my money back. I can only do things forward. Anything I do forward, I'm only going to do because it benefits me more than what I'm doing right now. So it's really hard to understand that in the moment of doing things, and people and firms do not understand sunk cost. Like, for instance, a firm could find it very hard to give up on a new product that is doing poorly because so much money was spent in creating and launching the product. And that's a perfectly reasonable thing to think about, right? It's like you put a lot of money into it, you really want it to be successful, and then all of a sudden it's not. And you want to keep it going. But the thing is that you got to look at this. Do we put more money trying to make this happen? Or do we invest in something else? Don't look at what you've already put into it. You only need to look at what you're trying to do right now. Are the benefits more than the marginal cost? Look at the extra stuff that you're going to be putting into it. Now, if the firm is like, okay, we put so much money into it, right? We have to do this. You're going to come along and you're going to be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on. Let's say we do put more money into this project. What would be the marginal benefits? And then they'd be like, okay, $10,000. Okay, cool, right? Like, so people are going to buy this, right? And we would get $10,000. Great. How much more money do we need to put into this thing to make that $10,000? So, and then he would say, okay, well, we would need to put $2,000 in. And so then you're thinking, well, right there, because the benefits are more than the cost of the next thing you're going to be doing, that's a good decision there. So that's where we're going to be looking at when we're talking about looking in the future. Don't be doing stuff just because it's like, oh, we put so much money into it. Only be doing something because of the extra benefits you're going to be getting in the future. Now, the real lesson with the sunk cost, and again, it's really hard to accept, but it's to ignore the past errors and only make decisions on the future. So you have to conduct your marginal analysis based on what you can do next, which is exactly what I did here with this example, right? I was asking, well, what's the marginal benefit? How much more money are we going to get? How much more happier are people going to be? Marginal benefit. And then how much is it going to cost, right? How much more money do we have to put into this? What am I giving up by doing this? Okay. And then if the benefits are greater than the marginal cost or equal to, we do it. That's what marginal analysis is. It's looking at the marginal benefits and the marginal cost, and that's how you make your decision. So if you're not making your decisions based off of the budget constraint, right, so you can afford 2 burgers and 20 bus tickets, you're going to be making it off the marginal analysis. Basically, how much benefit are you getting from the burgers and how much benefit are you going to get from the bus tickets versus how much it costs you per burger, per bus ticket. That is how you make a decision. Okay? So in the next section, we'll discuss the production possibilities frontier. I'll see you there.